John Dawson of Patio Daddy-O Barbecue in Boise, Idaho, and I've got it locked on the 50,000 gigawatt blowtorch of the internet that is Barbecue Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 2 feet for wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. Doing it here from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
If you're missing the first hour, it was a good one. You almost heard an interview with Joey Machado from Texas Original Barbecue Company. Instead, it was me talking about the new Memphis barbecue contest and festival. If you're like, why the hell won't you just name it already? Relax, because at some time in January, they are going to announce the name of this competition or festival event. They are promising, from what the PR Newswire article is, the largest payout in pork competition history.
Here comes the money. Here comes the money.
$250,000 overall prize. $50,000 going to the winner. So if you missed anything in the first hour, Wes Wright was after the Memphis segment catch-up, as that continues to generate new news week in and week out. That's why you're hearing it on the show. It's just new news. I can't get away from it. I want to get away from it. But when you generate new news, I'm good. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to do a whole segment on it, for crying out loud, because I can do that. Pulled sound, pulled theme music. From now on, whenever we talk about money.
Here comes the money. Here comes the money.
You know that's dropping. When people say it's not about the money,
here comes the money.
It's about the money.
Here comes the money.
Still to come. Sorry. What I meant to say was, if you missed the first hour, it's recording, so you can get the podcast tomorrow, early morning. If you love to watch it, you can watch it immediately after the show ends once again, because it auto-archives. I have nothing to do with that, but I can control the release of the podcast feed. That's why you get hour number 1 tomorrow, hour number 2 on Thursdays. And we'll talk about Friday here in just a second. Still to come on the show this evening, Joe Martinez of Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ joins us for the last time for his 2023 fourth installment of the Podumentary. Closing the show, Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly, his last quarterly appearance here in 2023 as well. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can go to X, which is twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also take in the show via YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. We also have a new YouTube poll question of the week. And I'm asking everybody, do you eat vegetables, yes or no? 87% of you are saying yes. 13% of you are saying I am a vegetable eater, if you missed it in the first hour. Lover of most vegetables. Definitely a hater of onions. Don't want any of that. But outside of onions, and if I can steer away from the garlic because it collects with me, and I did see somebody say take a shower. I mean, come on. I'm almost 2 shower a day guy, sometimes 3. So I'm definitely showered, manicured, smelling well. Come on.
I can't help it.
that I'm custom made. I can't help it that I look good, smell good, can dance all night long. I can't help it.
So I'm showering very well. Believe me. But I will try to avoid garlic if at all possible because it does hang out. But there's nothing I can do about it. I try. I don't know what else to do. Rub pennies underneath my armpits. Does that work? Some kind of weird thing like that? I don't know. I'll ask Joe. Maybe he knows how to keep garlic from hanging out all over me for days on end. But 87% are saying that you do eat vegetables, and I'm right along with you. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 313, taking you back to December 20th, 2011. If you can believe it, folks, it's that time of year, gang. We are now less than 1 week away from the Christmas holiday, so this coming Friday, John Solberg brings to you the yearly renewal of the most popular barbecue and grilling Christmas song ever to be performed on the face of the earth, and it was done live, no less, in the original Barbecue Central Show studios in Euclid, Ohio. I bring to you the 12 Days of Barbecue Christmas. Just a bit of history here. Old friends of the show, Logan Hendrickson, and the Pizziolas, Matt Frampton, were on a barbecue competition team together named what? Hot Grill on Grill Action. One of the best competition team names ever. An all-timer. They were on a competition team together. Also, I believe Ryan Amos was on there. There was another guy. I apologize, other guy, but I can only remember 3 evidently, but there was at least 4 guys on that team. Logan and Matt, being the ever crafty lyricists, got together and said, hey, if we write a Christmas song for you, will you sing it on the show live? And I said, yes, because that's what we do. We do it live.
We'll do it live.
So I will do it. Not only that, on that fateful Tuesday night, December 20th, 2011, I was also backed up by a then 10-year-old Bobby Rempe, an 8-year-old Maddie Rempe, and a 6-year-old Marley Rempe. Maybe I should say co-singers on that one. So if you're new to the show, if you've never heard the 12 Days of Barbecue Christmas, you are in for a treat. If you have been with the show for a while, this is one that I'm sure you look forward to each and every holiday season, so I hope you enjoy it. Every year we toy with the potential of doing a new or updated version, but sometimes you just have to understand when you are in the presence of perfection and you just need to leave well enough alone, and I think that's where we're at this point. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the best moments of by visiting thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe and get all the ways to do it there. And if you would like to hear a past guest or segment again that's been lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear, JON@thebbqcentralshow.com, and he'll do his best to meet your expectations. Now, here's the answer. Why such a lame poll question of the week? Do you eat vegetables? Well, I'm glad you asked, because through a sharing from, is it Blinky's Offset Barbecue Pit? I apologize if it's not. I think it is. No, I think it's Fred in Chicago. One of those guys. I think it's Fred, now that I think about it. Sent me this beauty. That is, if you can see it, famed broadcast sports announcer Al Michaels. And he says this.
Is it true that you have never knowingly eaten a vegetable in your life?
That is true.
That is true.
I was born when my parents were 18 and my mother hadn't even read Dr. Spock at that point. So she just let me have the run of the course. And I always pushed the vegetables away. To this day, no. And I guess what I've proven, Chris, is that man does not need vegetables to survive.
But is it just possible that you would like? I'm thinking of one of the more non-objectionable vegetables, a carrot.
Oh, please.
A carrot?
No, a carrot. No, that's an objectionable vegetable.
I mean, really? What? I mean, how would you know? You've never tasted it.
I look at it. I just don't even like the look of it. And I surmise what it might taste like in terms of the texture of it. I think a lot of it probably has to do, it just doesn't look like something that would go down well.
Look, Chris Wallace is a renowned interviewer. Terrible question, Chris. Why would you ask Al Michaels, who obviously is getting along just fine in his years of not eating vegetables, one of the more non-objectionable ones, carrot. I think one of the most objectionable vegetables is a carrot. It's long, it's orange. If you eat too many of them, it will literally turn your skin orange. There has to be 20, 30 better non-offensive vegetable options than carrot. Jason King has it right. Al Michaels, the originator of the carnivore diet, saying no. I hate it when I do that. Saying no to vegetables. Only beef, only meat, only carnivore. Wonder if he would eat like a pork ragu. Does he eat spaghetti? There's vegetables in spaghetti sauce, but it's because it's not a full tactile, textural vegetable. You can get away with that. I got to get Al Michaels on this show. I think Amazon kicked him out of doing play-by-play because he seemed disinterested in doing his job, if I read that article correctly. If not, my apologies. Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ is ready to go. Before we get to him, we're talking about Franklin's barbecue pits, and we're talking about how I can save you $400 now and up until the end of the year on a new Franklin barbecue pit. How? You go to a authorized, certified dealer of Franklin barbecue pits and say, I would like to buy that pit at retail minus the Barbecue Central Show discount of $400. Or, number two, you go to the website, franklinbbqpits.com, and you can just buy it right there. They'll ship it right to your driveway. They will subtract $400 off. I don't know if these pits will ever go on promotion again. For as great as Aaron Franklin is, not somebody that you associate with brand-wise as giving a discount. So take advantage of it while you can. Primarily made of quarter-inch American-made steel. The thickness guarantees that heat retention is of top priority and availability, which is key to great-tasting barbecue. But don't wait any long. Christmas is coming. Save $400. Say, hey, honey, I bought this cooker and I saved $400. Christmas present to us both. FranklinBBQPits.com to find the dealer near you, or you can buy right on the website, FranklinBBQPit.com. You save $400 either way by doing it right now, and it runs through the end of the year, and who knows if you ever see it again. This isn't some gimmick. Do me a favor. Wait. Don't save money. And then see if this even comes back in 2024. And when it doesn't, quit crying in your soup. We'll be back with Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we welcome you back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional, it's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. But wait, there's more. Right now, there's a promotion that's going on the PBX. That's the big one. So if you use the code XMISPBX, all one word, XMISPBX, PBX at checkout. It reduces the price of the cooker to $299.99 and free shipping. We love free. Once again, you want the PBX cooker and you're looking for a screaming deal. This is where it's at. Xmas PBX, all one word, Xmas PBX at checkout will reduce the price to $299 and they ship it to your door for free. Any questions, go to pitbarrelcooker.com. Let them know what you would like to ask. They will answer, and then away you go. Tell them that I sent you, won't you? Kicking off the second hour tonight, the owner-operator of Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ food trailer in El Paso, Texas. He has been the focus of the 2023 Podumentary series, and of course, sharing all of his visits through 2023. And they are the good, the bad, and the ugly of operating a barbecue food trailer outside of the business. He continues to be a prolific YouTube content creator, where as of 12/16, he had 257,000 subscribers. The content really great as well. We welcome back our pal, Joe Martinez. Joe, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. I just let the cat out of the bag with why I asked such a dopey question, or what appeared to be a dopey question right off the bat. But I'll ask you, because you're a guest, do you eat vegetables, yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Under protest or gladly?
Gladly. I mean, I had a BLT for dinner that had lettuce and tomato in it.
Yes.
Those are vegetables, right?
And bacon. That's almost a vegetable.
Pretty much.
Let's do this visit in a couple different ways. So as I had mentioned in the open of the show, we were following quarter one, quarter two, but you are not also in operating chronological order as to how the show was running here through the year. So you were months in advance of when we actually started this in January. So if you could recall back what quarter four of the business looked like, I know last time we talked about it, there were some things that you were working through and experiencing both in a good and a bad way. So how did quarter four end up for Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ trailer?
Quarter four was really good. I finally, there's different levels of being an owner, and, I can't step away from my business yet, but things are going really good. I hired a chef. I don't know if I mentioned that or not yet, but I hired a chef, and, she's been doing really good for us and figuring out ways to be more profitable and not have so much loss, et cetera. So I'm fully staffed. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I really don't have to show up to work anymore. I don't have to be there. The reason I do go is, to make sure things are operating smooth. I don't want to get away 100%, but, and to cover lunches, so my chef can go to lunch and my brother, which is a pit master, can go to lunch as well. That's pretty much the only reason I show up. Sales are good. We have, in the fourth quarter, we started picking up more catering gigs. Now that we had, more staff, we were able to take on more catering, more parties, company parties, et cetera. And that in itself has been a blessing, because I got to tell you, running a food truck is one thing, and it's a decent revenue. But once you start catering, that really opens the door to making more money, and it's been really good for us.
I do hear that quite a bit from either people that are in a brick and mortar restaurant, or they're running some type of a food truck or food trailer. They can't wait until they get into the catering side of things, because their customers are either coming into the food truck or the restaurant and just picking it up and leaving. So there isn't a whole bunch of other nonsense that are going. The profitability is going way up. So they really start to see the revenue numbers start to turn or spool up quite a bit. When you are doing that, though, what kind of an additional time commitment is it for you to make sure that you're not only cooking for whatever the day's lunch/dinner service is going to be, but on top of whatever the catering is going to be?
Yeah, so it does take a lot of planning. When I get a catering order, a catering request from a customer, we iron out the pricing and what they're looking for, et cetera. Once everything's done, I don't even mention it to my chef and my brother, which is a pit master, until it's 100% set in stone, because they've got a lot of running a barbecue business is a lot of work, a lot of long hours. And if I start to tell them, hey, I have a potential catering, well, they're going to have that on the back of their mind. And I don't want their minds preoccupied with something that's not concrete, So once it's sold, I come up with a game plan. I say, okay, what day are we doing this catering? Then I mention it to my brother and my chef. And I tell them, hey, this is what we got. This is what I need. I ordered 4 extra briskets for this day. Jen, which is my chef, I need an extra 20 pounds of potato salad this day. So when we're prepping, she's prepping for our food truck service, but then she's also prepping for that catering gig as well. As you mentioned earlier, moving into a brick and mortar would be the best thing catering because we are limited on space. I don't have a restaurant where I have 3 or 4 food warmers. I've got 1 food warmer in my food truck and 1, decent sized fridge. So we have to be careful that, we don't overextend ourselves and fall short of either servicing our customers at the food truck or falling on our faces with the catering gig. We got to make sure that, and if I can't do it, if I tell if I feel that we can't do it because it's too large of a catering, for example, I just say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm booked for that day. I just can't. I'm committed to some other deals.
What's your limit?
Well, we're about to test it. I got a bunch of pre-orders for briskets for Christmas. So we've got 18 briskets that we have to cook along with our food truck service briskets. So we're cooking a total of, what's it going to be, 27 briskets. But this deal with the Christmas briskets, it's a little unique in what we're doing with that. We are cooking them, then we're going to let them cool down, and then we're going to vacuum seal them. So the customers will be picking them up Christmas Eve. They will be vacuum sealed, and I give them instructions on how to reheat and slice their briskets. So it's not like I'm having to turn in hot briskets to the customer. If I did have to turn in hot briskets, I would need another food warmer, which right now I don't have another food warmer.
I just had a great question to follow up with when we were talking about your Christmas briskets there. I'm not going to remember it. That's right. We'll move on. You mentioned your brother is the pit master. You mentioned Jen, the chef that you've hired here. What happens if one of those two quit?
Then I have to step in, and fill their shoes. And I did that. It's crazy that you say that, Greg. It's like what happened at the food truck. So my brother, I'll tell you this quick story. So my brother caught COVID from one of our customers. It's crazy. Long story short, he was out. And so I had to step in. And my brother obviously is a pit master, so he's cooking all the meats and cutting every single meat that leaves that food truck. But he can't be around us, obviously being positive. So I stepped in for a few days. Well, on the second day that I stepped in the food truck, again, we're only open Friday and Saturday, so it's not terrible. But 3 days in the food truck, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, my chef also gets COVID. And I'm like, now I'm in trouble. So I'm a big believer in cross training, and that's probably my past corporate life and job. So my cashier stepped in and did my chef's job, and I called in my daughter to come work as a cashier. So we were able to, and you know what? It was so, I mean, I don't want anybody to get sick, but it was so neat because my cashier actually told me, I kind of like doing this better than cashiering. And I was like, great. That means that there's a future for her in the kitchen once I open up, God willing, a brick and mortar. There's a future for her. We got a spot for her in the kitchen.
You reminded me of the question I wanted to ask you before when you're talking about pushing the limits of the catering and stuff. I'm not saying this in a dick way, but you say you're open, the 3 days, Friday, or was it Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Friday, Saturday. Can't you use all the other days to do a boatload of catering and then just focus on the truck Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, we can, but you know what, Greg? It's crazy that the majority of our catering gigs are on Friday and Saturday. Parties or company meetings, etc. They're on those days. Now, do we get catering gigs on our off days? Absolutely. We had one recently where we had a large bank ask us if we could, take our food truck and serve their team. So this was the very first time we've actually moved our food truck. I mean, that food truck, it stays at this food truck park and we never move it. I moved it one time when I had to go get it re-inspected. But we don't move that food truck at all. And we moved it for this catering gig. And this was on a Tuesday, on a day that we normally have it as an off day. But we fired up the food truck and went and served some food to a pretty large bank here in town.
Through the end of that first year, what are we looking like in expenses? What are we looking like in revenues? And do we make money at the end of year one for Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ?
So did we make money? Yes, we made money. We were able to pay everybody's salary, and there's money that's left in the bank at the end of the day. We were able to generate like $350,000 that first year in business. And I don't mind sharing my numbers, and I'm not sharing my numbers to brag. I'm just sharing my numbers so that everybody knows what you're going to face in the food truck business. And you would think, okay, well, $340,000, that's a pretty penny. That's over $250,000. Well, it's not. It's not. There's not a whole lot left over. There's food cost and I've got salaries to pay, et cetera, and just cost of running the business. I like to reinvest my money into the business, whether it be buying equipment, if my chef needs a new scale, if she needs a new immersion blender, whatever the case may be, I reinvest the money into the business. But yes, thankfully we did make money. The first year you hear of a lot of businesses that struggle. And if they say that if you make it the first year, then you're in good shape. And, again, we made money, but we're not getting rich yet. I'm not at that point yet, but hopefully soon in the very near future, that'll happen for us.
Can you make more money if you were open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or is it just not that easy? Because I remember having somebody send me an email after last visit, and you had mentioned you had hired the chef. They were like, holy shit, this guy is generating enough revenue off of 2 days to hire a chef to take over all these responsibilities. Like, this is insane. So to me, I'm like, well, he's doing really good on 2 days. Why not double down? And now we're sniffing towards 700, 750 grand. And this 350 was a total revenue number, or was that what you made out of expense?
That total revenue.
Okay, yeah. So is more days more money, or not necessarily?
Yes and no. So yes, it would be more money, but again, I would have to hire, and it's not a bad thing. But as you mentioned in the introduction, that I do operate a YouTube channel as well. So I'm still making quite a bit of money through YouTube. So I take those days, and I'll take this past weekend, for example. I was curing some bacon for a YouTube video. I finished that video today. I'm aging this brisket that's right here behind me. So I'm watching that like a baby. I released a video where this morning that I had to edit last night. So there's a lot of work that goes into running a YouTube channel as well.
Yep.
But I'm willing to put YouTube aside and not spend as much time doing that to be able to open up, an additional 2 days. Now, one thing to remember in a barbecue business, just because it's been Thursday doesn't mean that there's no work. Thursday is our prep day. So we are prepping like crazy all day. Now, would it be nice to be open that day? Absolutely. But there's several factors that are keeping me from opening up on a Thursday or a Wednesday. And the biggest thing is that El Paso, Texas, even though we are in Texas, people think, okay, barbecue is Texas, right? El Paso's not a big barbecue destination. I'm trying to change that along with, a few others in town. I'm not alone doing this, but we're not at the point of, some of the barbecue joints in Austin, Texas, for example, that are busy 7 days a week. Now, going forward, if and when we do open up a business, that's going to change. We will be open more days for sure.
What do food costs look like going into the new year?
Food costs, believe it or not, has gotten pretty bad. And I say bad, I had my food costs down in the 35% range. And, being barbecue is really expensive. Meat's expensive. But, prices have gone up, on turkey, briskets. If a brisket goes up 50 cents a pound and, do the math, there's an extra $700 that I'm paying for those briskets, for example, but I can't be changing my menu prices every time the meat prices go up. That's probably one of the hardest things is, can I have a moving target, a moving menu? I can't. So oftentimes I'm left to absorb that increase myself. Now, if it gets to the point where I'm not making money, then, I will have to, be forced to increase my prices.
Goals for 2024, at least for quarter number one. As I had mentioned, we're going to run you out next year too, in hopes that you do secure this brick and mortar location so we can follow you through that fun journey. I can only imagine how much more fun that'll be than starting the quest that you did over a year ago. But what are those first quarter goals for 2024?
Well, the biggest goal that we have is to, find a brick and mortar. We had a place, and, I'll throw some numbers out there because, I'm all about numbers too. I've already made up my mind that I will not be in a shopping center or shopping plaza. Okay. So I found a place really close to my house. Thought it was going to be it. It was going to cost me close to $7,500 a month just the lease, and they wanted a 7-year contract. So if you do the math on that, you're close to $1 million after the 7 years, but you have nothing to show for it. It's not yours. Great location, but that's money. It's like renting a house. You're not going anywhere with that. So I made up my mind that I'm either going to buy a building, an existing building, and convert it into a restaurant, or I'm going to buy a piece of land and I'm going to build my restaurant.
Wow.
So that is my goal. That is the number one goal for me in 2024. And it's going to happen in the first quarter. I'm really hard on myself and achieving my goals. And I will, Greg, mark my word, I will be in a brick and mortar the first quarter of 2024.
All right. You said it here first. And you only have, luckily you have 3 months to do that before quarter number 2 starts. How's things between you and the wife?
Things are good. My wife knows I work hard and long hours. But as I mentioned earlier, now that I'm fully staffed, and I've got a chef, I don't really have to be at my food truck, but I want to be there. I've gone to a lot of barbecue joints in Texas, Franklin, Evie Mae's, Valentina's, and guess who was there? The owner was there, the pit master. And, the reason why they're so successful is because, of what they do and how they run their business. And I'm not going to be that owner that walks away from their business and lets the team just handle it because, I've got expectations as well. So, I will continue to be at my food truck, but this, having a full staff does allow me to branch off a little bit and go find a place.
Joe Martinez is the owner-operator over at Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ in El Paso, Texas. Still no website, huh, Joe?
I do have a website, Greg.
Oh, you do? Look at you.
I do.
All right. What is it? SmokinJoesPitBBQ.com?
Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQ EP, like El Paso.
Yeah.
BBQCS.com.
All right. So good news. I was going to say that should be also in Q1 goals, but we knocked that one down already. So good for you, Art. So now it's just on the brick and mortar. So when you are on in Q1 of 2024, that'll be the first thing that we talk about amongst some other stuff. Joe, appreciate all the insight and pulling the curtain back, maybe to a gruesome level. But again, these are done for folks that think they want to do this, and then you got to hit them with the stark truth, and it makes their decisions all of a sudden a lot easier to make, where they're like, yeah, that's the life I want to lead, we're going to do it, or, oh my God, I just shit my pants and there's no way in hell I'm going to do that. Without that information that you're given, we can't do it. So appreciate it. Have a great Christmas, and we'll talk to you again in 2024. Thank
you, Greg. You as well, buddy.
You got it. Joe Martinez, Smokin' Joe's Pit BBQEP.com is the website. So check him out. We got that new website. He didn't have that last quarter. How about that? Daniel Vaughn's ready to go. Listen up, gang. Our friends at Big Papa Smokers have something special for you, listeners of the show. Whether you're a seasoned pitmaster like Joe or a grilling newbie like me, Big Papa Smokers is your one-stop shop for all things barbecue, from their championship rubs, mouth-watering sauces, essential accessories. They've got what you need to take your food to the next level, whether you're on the competition circuit or in the backyard. Here's the cherry on top. Big Papa Smokers offering the listeners of the Barbecue Central show an exclusive deal using promo code REMPE at checkout. That's REMPE. Get $10 off your next $50 purchase of rubs, sauces, or accessories. Imagine the possibilities. Evaluate your ribs with Big Papa's Sweet Money, or add Big Papa's Desert Gold to your chicken, or better yet, pick up Big Papa's Double Secret and put it on your steak. Head on over to BigPapaSmokers.com and start shopping today and start saving today with promo code REMPE at checkout. Claim $10 off your next order of $50 or more. Don't forget to check out Big Papa's full line of recipes over at CookingWithBigPapa.com. That's CookingWithBigPapa.com. And, of course, follow them on social media. We're back with Daniel Vaughn right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we welcome you back. Portion of the show being brought to you by Aladino Cigars, JRE Tobacco. Sent out a lot of Corojo Reserva Figurados last week, so hopefully you have those and you're going to be trying them over this week or the next few weeks, maybe to ring in the new year. Find a dealer near you, jretobacco.com. And if you are fully aware or you would like a sample, email me. Send you out some. I got some Robustos and some Toros. Few Figurados, but I want to save a couple for me too. So good folks over at JRE Tobacco. And helping me close the show tonight is the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine. You also see him on the show for quarterly visits through the year as we talk about things going in and out of Texas that are barbecue, sometimes not barbecue related. It's our pal Daniel Vaughn. Daniel, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
And you are like, what? Trying to think off the top of my head what I would have done to this picture to make you so so in it. But let me go down to my.
I don't know. On my screen, it's looking pretty normal. But I see that you really just wanted to zoom in closely to my barbecue Christmas tree.
I was really hoping that we could finally get a look at that Christmas tree of yours. And wow, I mean that's not even. Right, let's try this. How about this? We go here, and then I'll stay up here in the right hand corner, and everybody feels a little bit better about themselves. That's so odd. I got to figure out what the hell I did there. But you were peeping in on Smokin' Joe's end of segment there, and he said some pretty fascinating things.
I heard a guarantee.
We heard a guarantee that he was going to be brick and mortar. You heard him say that he wasn't going to do any type of strip mall, and that at $1 million he would rather build new, including land and build up, or that he would rather buy something existing, sounds like a gut job, and then build out from there the way he wants. Pie in the sky or pretty doable?
I mean, I think it's not pie in the sky at all. But I mean, these are things that really take a lot of planning, a lot of saving. I think there's certainly different models of how to finance a barbecue joint, and certainly the ownership aspect is important to a lot of people for some obvious reasons. I wish him the best of luck, but it certainly takes some good planning, some good saving, and it sounds like from him, if he's not able to open more than a few days a week right now, I hope the business is there for him when he does open up that brick and mortar.
He did say that while El Paso is technically in Texas, he's not calling it a barbecue destination across the state as you would find in some of the other cities. Is that something that you think is going to change, or does location prohibit that from really happening?
I don't think it prohibits it, but as far as a barbecue destination, that's for other people to decide outside of El Paso. If El Paso itself wants to have a really strong barbecue culture, that's for the people who live in El Paso to decide, right? And they've got to support their locals. They've got to support the barbecue joints that they've got now, and they've got to support them to a point where there can be some expansion and some other spots coming into the game. So it's tough because in El Paso, the barbecue has just in the past has not been seen as something that is incredibly popular or worth having like a big following. Certainly they don't have the patience to be standing in any lines in El Paso for barbecue. There's just, Mexican food there is just that much more popular. That's what people argue about there. It's, it's just really hasn't been the barbecue in the past, but I think, I think if people like Smokin Joe are able to hang around and Desert Oak and, there's been Skinny's barbecues there as well. If these places can hang around, Hallelujah Barbecue, I think the expectations for what the barbecue customer in El Paso can raise, and they can understand that like they have, they really have a gift at this point, and as long as they support it, they can continue to enjoy it.
We kind of touched on it the last time you were on. You mentioned 4 barbecue restaurants in El Paso. I didn't mean to turn this into an El Paso segment here, but let's run it down the rabbit hole. If there were 12 or 16 of these types, same quality of the 4 that you mentioned originally, outside of can El Paso support all 16? But let's say they could. If there was that many, does sheer volume of greatness then change where people would be willing to travel for, or is it almost too big of a mountain when it comes to the Mexican food competition?
You start talking about 12 or 16. There is a finite population there in El Paso.
Yep.
And so, being able to support that many would certainly be tough. I think one of the benefits that a city like Austin or Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, one of the big benefits they have is that even if you are a big supporter of the barbecue, if you're a Dallasite like I am and you love the barbecue here in Dallas, but maybe you're looking to venture off and have some fun, you could easily get to Houston, easily get to Austin, a little longer to San Antonio. El Paso is a haul. You're not hopping in the car and like, hey, it's Friday. You know what? Tomorrow, why don't we just drive to El Paso to go get some barbecue? Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
That is a plane, that's a flight away. And so El Paso itself isn't able to really benefit from a lot of that commingling that the, around the Texas Triangle of San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston enjoys. So I think that's really one of the tough things that they've got is they depend so much on just the people of El Paso being able to support them. And it doesn't really go much beyond that.
All right. So I appreciate you running down the rabbit hole there. Hopefully Joe listens to this in replay and takes some of those nuggets of wisdom and uses them to his advantage. I forgot to ask you, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that I know you're dying to answer. We're asking everybody this. It was a loaded question. It'll still seem kind of chintzy at this point. Do you eat vegetables, yes or no?
Absolutely, I eat vegetables.
Well, you would be perhaps shocked to know that Hall of Fame sports announcer Al Michaels has never eaten a vegetable in his life. And he's like 70-something years old now.
I saw that interview, and it is hard for me to believe, but when he was pressed and talked about, what about a carrot? And the disgust in his face just considering ingesting a carrot. He certainly, I don't know if he's just trying to pull one over on all of us with his sincerity there, but it was a damn good acting job if that's the case. But he certainly seemed believable to me.
I think this just speaks to my awesomeness as an interviewer. I think if I'm put in that situation, and I'm not saying I'm better than Chris Wallace, but I am. If I'm across the table from Al Michaels, and my follow-up question isn't going to be, well, what about one of the more less objectionable vegetables like a carrot? I mean, it looks weird. It's orange. You think in your head immediately there's going to be some kind of a texture shenanigan going on. It can literally turn you orange if you eat too many of them. It happened to my nephew as a Ute. So that's like the least most popular that is offensive, potentially. So I would have started off way, way less to at least give him some pause for thought. But, I mean, carrot, I would have said, fuck no. Give me a break. Carrot.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking football, chicken wings, proximity to carrots. It's pretty high right there. I mean, we're a carrot-only family when it comes to ordering wings, by the way. None of that's celery. I don't need any of that.
Yeah, but we're just talking about vegetables in general. Like, he went to a carrot. We're not talking about pairing them up as the side dish to hot wings. We're talking about, like, going into the pantry and getting a potato, of course.
Least objectionable.
Kidding?
I would be curious, does he consider that a vegetable, right? Or does he consider that a starch? Like, has he never had French fries with his cheeseburger?
It was a little mind-boggling. So I trotted out the poll question. I got hammered for it in the beginning, like, oh, we're taking the week off on the poll question. But at the top of the second hour, I played just a portion of that interview where Al Michaels was saying he's never had a vegetable in his life. And all of a sudden I won the people's fame and adulation forever, as always, as we close out 2023. You have a list, which I love lists, of course, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, best barbecue outside of Texas.
The best barbecue that I've eaten this year outside of Texas.
Yeah. So this is obviously just going solely off your travels outside of the Lone Star State. Did you know right at the beginning of the year this is something you wanted to do, or did you visit enough barbecue places through your travels outside of Texas where you thought you could generate a list?
I don't think I went into the year thinking this was going to happen. I went into the year focused pretty much on our best new barbecue joint list that we released at Texas Monthly earlier this year. Mm-hmm. And so that took me through mid-year, really all the research for that list. And that's really what I was focused on. There were a few visits here and there to some other places. I got up to Minnesota, for other purposes other than barbecue, but of course ate barbecue while I was there. That took me through Kansas City and a few other spots. Well, by the time I turned in the article for the best new barbecue joint list, I don't know. I wanted to get back out on the road. I wanted to go see something new and different. And so I just started traveling around to some places that, I know that they had reached out to me, hoping that I could come try their barbecue, and some places that I'd been keeping an eye on over Instagram that I really wanted to try, like City Limits Q over in South Carolina, being one of those that I really wanted to get over there to try. So, and after I went out to try a few of them, I just wanted to do more. I've been doing this job for 10 years, and I've been eating a ton of barbecue in Texas, and I am still doing that Texas exploration as well. But the universe of Texas barbecue has really just expanded, and I'm there to cover it all, right? I guess you could call me a bit of a sheriff. If you're going to call yourself Texas barbecue, I'm going to be out there making sure that you should be calling yourself Texas barbecue.
Who's winning the best list of barbecue that you ate outside of the state then?
Yeah, well, so what I'm going to give you tonight is a bit of a preview. I've turned in this story to my editor and hasn't published yet. But I've got a few spots that I can share with you that are going to be on the list. That, some that were a big surprise. Fat Tabs in Idabel, Oklahoma. Maybe the closest one to Texas on that list, right? It's probably a good 15 minutes across the Red River there in Oklahoma. It's in southeast Oklahoma, so just across the Red River from northeast Texas. Fat Tabs, that's with a PH. It is plenty hot and tasty, as they call it. That's the tagline for Tab Singleton is the pitmaster there. Like and I wanted to get his history in barbecue, and he had a competition team where Fat Tabs, you might have guessed that Fat Tabs was the competition barbecue name. But then he left for like a dozen years and went to New Orleans and worked for Chef Emeril Lagasse, and became an executive chef there at one of Emeril's restaurants. And, COVID shut it down. He came back to Idabel, Oklahoma, his hometown, and opened up a barbecue spot. He had asked me to come. He's been asking me to come for a few years now, and I just never had. Frankly, I told him this. I was like, your Instagram photos are trash. Like, you got to get a better camera. You got to find some better lighting, because I've eaten your food now, and the photos that you post of it do not do it justice. The food is fantastic. The smoked brisket, like, just perfect texture, great bark. The ribs, they've got big spare ribs, nice and tender with a bit of a sweet glaze on there. Adds a little bit of honey into it. And making his own sausage as well. Great sausage. And the day I went, he had his white trash potato salad. So it's this loaded potato salad, right? He cooks bacon up to put into the potato salad, but like garnishes it, green onions, shredded cheddar, and Bacos, like actual Bacos from the jar. And he's like, that's how it's white trash potato salad, because of the Bacos. Yeah. I'm just like, that's just such a funny, like, tongue-in-cheek poke at his upbringing in Idabel, Oklahoma. But then, then he's doing this Nashville hot turkey. He's doing smoked turkey, breaded, deep fried on a sandwich. And the Nashville hot sauce has some Korean chili flakes in it, and it's got fish sauce in it. And I was like, yeah, just like you grew up with in Idabel. Right? Yeah. So it's just this funny dichotomy going on in the menu. And it was fantastic. So, yeah, Fat Tabs was one of them in Oklahoma. And we can just keep going around the country if you want.
Yeah, please.
Okay. All right. So then up in the Northeast, I went to Maryland. I flew into DC and went to a few places in Maryland. And I've written about them on the site. But one I wanted to bring to your specific attention is 250 Texas Barbecue. The fact that Texas Barbecue is in the name is always helpful, right?
Yeah.
But the backstory is an interesting one. It's a couple from El Salvador. And, the husband was in Austin, Texas, and basically was there on business, but was delayed for a couple of days. Didn't know anything about barbecue. Went to Franklin Barbecue. Stood in line, asked the people in front of him, like, what do I order? Like, he didn't really understand what brisket was. And he loved it so much, bought the book, got it signed by Aaron Franklin in the pit room, like, smuggles a brisket back with him, brings a cryovac Franklin brisket back home. Wow. He meets his wife at the door of their apartment, and he's just like, this is Texas barbecue. We're going to do this for the rest of our life. Like,
it's inspiration personified. Wow.
From a meal at Franklin Barbecue, it's like, we are going to do this. And they moved to DC. They opened up a barbecue joint, 250 Texas Barbecue. You can now get smoked brisket. You can get smoked Wagyu brisket, prime beef.
Oh, wow.
He's making sausage, ribs, chicken, all of it. And then they do some Salvadoran touches as well. So you can get some fried plantains. They do red beans specifically from El Salvador. So it's also a fun mix there, but just flat out great barbecue.
Wow.
On a road trip over the summer, I was with my son, picked him up from camp in Minnesota, and we dropped my wife and daughter off at the airport in Minnesota, and it was our job to get the car back, to get the vehicle back home to Texas. And I gave him the option of a straight shot, or we could veer off the path a ways and get over to Chicago, head down through Memphis, and come back through Arkansas. And in doing so, we stopped at Green Street Smoke Meats in Chicago.
Very good.
Now I've been to Green Street before. It was fine, right? It was okay, and
which no restaurant owner wants to hear. By the way, it was fine.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was fine. But Dave Bonner took over, and he's running the pits these days. I was able to do a cooking competition with him in the middle of nowhere, South Dakota, with the fine folks from Certified Angus Beef.
Uh-huh.
And so we got to hang out some in South Dakota over the summer and went to Green Street, met up with him, and he fed us well. And fed us their smoked cheeseburger, which, oh man, it's the same restaurant group as Al Cheval, and they're famous for their burger.
Oh yeah.
We did a taste off. We had an Al Cheval burger right there with a smoked cheeseburger from Green Street Smoke Meats, and there were 3 of us at the table. We all agreed Green Street was the winner.
Wow.
That smokiness in the burger was so good, but the smoked chicken, the brisket there is great. So yeah, Green Street was just a great stop, even if my windshield had gotten smacked and cracked while I was parked a few blocks away. So got to drive home with that cracked windshield from Chicago. That was nice.
Nice. When is the full article getting revealed?
So that article will either be out at the end of this week, depending on my editor's workload and willingness to really do a lot of heavy lifting here right before Christmas, or just after Christmas. It'll be out before the new year. Let's put it that way.
Do you have
It's definitely going to be out before the new year.
Do you have any 2024 first quarter predictions? Any things we're going to see or that you think are going to happen that are not on our radar?
Well, we're going to see me going outside of Texas once again for yet another barbecue road trip, but I'm not going to say where because then everybody will be looking for me, and I got to sneak in. I got to do the sneak attack. Yeah, I did that here this last week over down in the Marfa area in the Big Bend area of Texas, and it was just it's great to walk into a restaurant that's like, just like 12 hours from my house. And they're like, Daniel, what are you doing here? I didn't expect you. I was like, exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Yes. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Predictions for the new year. It's, I don't know. I'm so focused on planning the trips that I've got, planning the trips in Texas and outside of Texas. I don't know. What are your predictions? What do you think's going to happen?
My predictions happen next week with the embedded correspondence as we close out 2023. And I have some burners, so make sure that you catch the podcast or tune in live for once in 2023. And you can
Joe Flacco, Super Bowl champion?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Let me ask you this. Let's run down this rabbit hole for a second. Hold on. Let me make sure that my software automation doesn't take us out of the show here before we have to. On the off chance, I mean, really, when you stop to think about it, the chances of getting into the playoffs, okay, I mean, we can talk about that. But getting to the Super Bowl, well, first of all, for every win, now that he's been signed off the practice roster, he gets $75,000 for it, so that's nice. If he gets to the Super Bowl, gets $2 million. So he's very incentivized to do as well as he can. So let's run it down. What happens if the Browns make it to the freaking Super Bowl? They don't even have to win. They get to the Super Bowl. Who do you start at quarterback next year?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think Deshaun Watson has just shown to be the curse of the Browns. So just get rid of him. It's not working out.
Get rid of him.
Like the guy's poison.
No!
The guy's.
Here comes the money.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of him. He's got a fully guaranteed contract.
I mean, if he's a curse to the franchise, I mean, what?
Where are you hearing curse from the franchise? Nobody's talking about that up here.
I mean, I think it's evident. Just look at it. Like the guy. I mean, come on. What has he done for the franchise since he's been signed? He's been an albatross. That's all.
Well, I certainly can't argue that. He's very injured. Certainly can't argue that. But I think somehow, some way, if we get to the Super Bowl, the Browns will be embroiled in yet another quarterback controversy with a guy who I could simply say, look, holy shit, we caught lightning in a bottle. Sign him again, but as a backup. And Deshaun Watson's going to be our starting quarterback next year. But you know that people aren't as practical as me, Daniel. And it's going to be, Joe got us to the Super Bowl. He's found the second wind at 29 or 38 or however the hell old he is. And he should be the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be insane. And by the way, this is a year of injury unlike any year I've seen, not only for the Browns, but across the NFL. Quarterbacks are dropping like flies. 27% of our salary cap for the Cleveland Browns is on the shelf for the rest of the year, for crying out loud. So I can't even believe we're this competitive. But I do believe we have a quarterback controversy brewing if we get deep into the playoffs or if by chance we got to the Super Bowl. And I wouldn't mind having that controversy if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot like the Nick Foles situation in Philadelphia, right? Takes him to the Super Bowl, and then he's right back in the reserve spot there.
That's right.
Come the next season. But yeah, I think all of us need to be just as worried about Joel Bitonio and how he might be faring this injury here, because without him, it's all about that offensive line, right?
Do we have you signed up for quarterly segments in 2024?
Yeah, you said the check was in the mail, right?
That's right. Double the amount.
Excellent.
Double the amount than this year. So certainly happy to continue to fund
all I require
college
is
fund.
just I just need one more. I just need a new ornament every year for the barbecue Christmas tree.
All right, we'll make sure we do that. Daniel, always appreciate the time. Appreciate you coming on this year, and we will look for you in 2024. Have a great holiday and a great New Year.
Yes. Merry Christmas to you, and great talking with you again.
All right. Daniel Vaughn right there. I mean, what is going on with my split screen? I have no idea why it's pushed in so tight. It was bizarre. I thought his camera got off kilt, but when I pulled back out into a single shot, nope. He was right there where he should have been. So we'll have to figure that out. All right, we're going to wrap the show. When we come back, we've run over, but that's fine. Great conversation as always. Yeah, all right, so stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
I got caught with that damn overlay again. Idiot. How did I miss that? How can I not see me twice? Ugh. We thank Daniel Vaughn for joining us for an extended last segment. TM, like Tom Mike. TMBBQ.com is his website, and you should be going there. Spend the money to sign up. He's got a great stuff. Ooh, I missed it, but I'm just seeing now 23 minutes ago. It looks like Bobby Rempe taking in the show as well, which we certainly appreciate. But I'm sure she didn't make it all the way through the interview segment, which is a shame because it was entertaining as hell. And a great way to close out the third week of December here. Before we go, want to wish everybody a safe Christmas, of course. I hope you get everything you want. I hope you're gifting everything you want. Know this. If you're around anybody that you like or you're able to get in contact with anybody, I offer you this piece of advice, if you can. Make sure that you are thankful for the folks that are around you and that you are and have remained in contact with. Don't infect your life with nonsense. If you don't want to be around anybody, they're pulling you down, do your best to break ties or limit contact, only the positivity. Because at any moment, you could be delivered news or an accident could happen, and the most important people in your life can be taken away from you. And if you're not spending time in gratuitous situations, if you're not telling people how grateful you are for them regularly, you could be put in a spot where you won't be able to anymore. So my Christmas present to you is continuing the show, of course, through 2023 and for the foreseeable future, unless a huge paycheck comes my way to buy it, because everything is for sale in my world. But to also be grateful and to recognize when you are amongst the most important people of your life and telling them that you appreciate it. And maybe they don't understand it as much as you do, but telling them that is really good for you. Trust me on this. And with that, we say good afternoon, good evening, and good night. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Joey Machado.
I'm just kidding!
Then we had Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com. Yes, indeedy. Second hour, Joe Martinez from Smokin Joe's Pit BBQ EP.com, who has said right here on this show mere moments ago that in the first quarter of 2024, he will have his own brick and mortar restaurant secured. You are now on the clock, Joe. Well done to put yourself on the clock. We close it out with Daniel Vaughn, Texas Monthly's barbecue editor, tmbbq.com. Tonight's poll ends this way. 83% of you are saying yes, you eat vegetables. 17% saying no, I eat vegetables. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Hope you have a great Christmas coming up on Monday. We will be back on Tuesday with a live show with the embedded correspondents and others. So until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud... Wait, did I say it? How do I leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host, the proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Jeff Stone of Grandpa's Pride Barbecue from the Panhandle of Florida, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.